Hey, what's up everybody? This is Todd Bowen from sittingposture.com. Welcome to today's video, Computer Posture Mistakes and Fixes, episode 26. We're gonna be talking about standing workstations today. Here's one where I try to avoid this as much as possible. I'm not always perfectly symmetrical when I'm working at a standing workstation as far as my legs go. But this is a little bit extreme and I try to avoid this. Maybe I'll stand here like this for a minute or so just to get a little bit of break for one of my legs. He's basically just standing on one leg. He's got 95% of his pressure on one leg. So I may do that here and there, but I definitely don't want to stand like this for long periods of time. That's going to put extra pressure on that right leg, and it's easy to fall into a bad habit of just using that right leg. So yeah, I definitely try to avoid standing like this for long periods of time. I do like how he's got the extended monitor over here. It's almost at eye level. If you listen to my videos, it's gonna sound like a broken record. I always keep the top of my monitor screen at eye level. He's got his a little bit low, which isn't too bad. But one thing I do want to mention is I think this desk is a little bit too high. So what he'll want to do is lower this just a little bit. The reason I know that is because his elbows are below the desk level. You can see that when that happens, that causes the bicep to contract in order to lift the hands onto the desk and the mouse and the keyboard. And when that bicep stays contracted all day long, that can cause shoulder tendonitis up here. Those bicep muscles are connected to the shoulder by two tendons. So we're not going to feel an issue with the bicep muscle. It's just going to get tighter and tighter and tighter. We won't even know it, but it's going to pull on those tendons in the shoulder or maybe even the elbow and cause inflammation and pain there. And we're going to be like, man, what's wrong with my shoulder or what's wrong with my elbow? It's actually not where the problem starts. It's very often in the bicep. And this is a good situation where that could possibly happen. So I always like to keep my elbow above the desk level slightly. That way my forearm is not at an upward angle from my elbow to the keyboard and mouse. It's at a downward angle slightly from the keyboard to the mouse. We'll look at another picture of that later. All right, let's go here to the next picture. Something that I definitely don't recommend for any period of time. If you're gonna be on a computer for more than 5 minutes, I definitely wouldn't recommend looking down at a downward angle to see the top of the laptop screen like that. I understand sometimes we have to travel, we don't have the liberty or the convenience to carry an extended monitor with us. But if at all possible, try to find a way to avoid this posture for any more than 5 minutes. Because it's just putting an incredible strain on his neck, and you can see in the back of his shoulders, it's also causing him to hunch over a little bit. But the biggest thing is the neck here. What it does is it overextends the muscles in the back of the neck, and it compresses the muscles in the front of the neck. And that doesn't stop at the neck. That goes throughout the muscles and tendons that are connected to the collarbone, throughout the chest. And it's probably also causing a little bit of internal shoulder rotation as he tends to naturally lean forward and look down like that. So this is something that I definitely want to avoid as much as possible. But I do like his desk height. Look at his elbows here. This is what I was just talking about in the last picture. His forearms are at a slightly downward angle in order to rest his hands on that keyboard and mouse. And that's what I like right there. This elbow is above the desk level. If it was below the desk level, like I said, it's going to put that pressure on that bicep. When it's above the desk level like this, it's going to put a little bit more burden onto the triceps, but that's okay. I've never really had an issue with that. The bicep being tightened all day long is where I've always had the issue with shoulder pain. I do like that height of the desk, but you can notice how you can barely even see it, but in his hands, he's got his wrist cocked back just a little bit in order to lift his hands onto that laptop keyboard. Again, if we're traveling, we don't have the convenience of an extended wireless monitor or an extended keyboard or mouse. But if this is a everyday working situation, 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, definitely would be a good thing to invest in an extended external keyboard and external mouse. One that's flatter, because this laptop right here, it only looks like it's not even an inch off the table probably, but that inch makes a big difference when you're pulling your wrists up and leaving those contracted all day long. That is what caused a lot of issues with me for carpal tunnel syndrome. Wasn't actually the act of typing. It was the act of keeping my wrist at that angle to lift my hands onto the keyboard. That's what caused my pain. So I got a very flat, slim, low profile external keyboard. Once I started using that, my wrist pain went away in a matter of a couple days. It was pretty eye-opening. So let's move on to the next photo. Here's one. He looks like he's got, it may not be a standing desk, but he's got like some kind of standing desk accessory there, which is decent. But I'm not a huge fan of it if it's my everyday working situation. Maybe temporarily, but number one, the monitor is not quite at his eye level. The top of the monitor is not quite at his eye level. He's got his elbow. This thing is a decent height for the keyboard, and you notice he's got that flat keyboard that I was just talking about. He's not lifting onto a big bulky keyboard. He doesn't have to engage his wrist to do that. I do like that keyboard. I like the height of this, but maybe if he could just put a small monitor riser underneath that monitor, that would raise it up about 4 or 5 inches, and that would be good for me. I would like that in my situation. So I do like the height of this as far as the keyboard, but the monitor definitely needs to come up a little bit. Let's see what else here. Let's go to the next photo. Here's a photo. I like how she's got the monitor, the top of the monitor is at eye level. Definitely think this part right here, as far as the keyboard, as far as the desk holding the keyboard, is a little bit high. You can see how her elbows are flared out, and her upper arm is almost at like a 45-degree angle. What that does, and this is speaking from experience, that causes a lot of tension up in here, right through the middle, back, front. It takes muscles to lift that arm like that, and when you hold it like that for long periods of time, it causes an issue in the future. So I'd like to keep my elbows as not tucked tight to my rib cage, but just naturally hanging down next to my rib cage. You know, my arms pretty much down in a straight line, my upper arms. So I definitely want to try to, if it was me, I would lower this desk just a little bit. And that would allow her to relax her shoulders, letting that elbow fall naturally to her, closer to her rib cage. And then that way, her biceps also contracted here. So that's going to cause shoulder issues, internal shoulder rotation, stuff like that. So I would lower this just a little bit. And then like the last picture, I'll put something underneath her monitor to make up for that space that she's going to lose, that height of the monitor she's going to lose when she drops that down. When we were on the first picture, I was talking about the legs. So this is a very common way of standing. It's popular through a lot of people. Standing symmetrically all day long, even if it's good posture, correct posture, even if you're symmetrical, it could cause issues because repetitive strain and repetitive use doesn't care what position you're working in. It doesn't care if your posture's bad. It doesn't care if your posture's good. It's always better to have good posture. But even in good postures, repetitive strain and overuse can become an issue. So sometimes I'm actually standing like this right now. I've got my right leg straight and my left leg bent a little bit. That's okay. It's very common as long as I switch it out occasionally. I don't want to get in the habit of standing like that the whole time because that's just going to cause an imbalance from one side to the other. And I want to try to avoid that at all times. So right now, as I said that, I just switched. My left leg is straight and my right leg is slightly bent. So I've got more weight on my left leg right now. As long as I keep going back and forth like that throughout the day, doesn't have to be perfect, 50-50, but it definitely shouldn't be a lopsided amount of time. Let's see what we got here. Two more pictures. I like how she's got the extended monitor here. The monitor height a little bit high. The top of her monitor is a little bit higher than eye level. So what she could do here, in my opinion, is lower her desk just a little bit because she's got plenty of room to play here. I wouldn't say this desk is too high as far as her elbows go, maybe just a little bit. But that's what I would do is I would lower this desk just slightly. That would allow her to relax these upper arms a little bit and let that elbow fall naturally closer to the body a little bit. But I do really like this setup a lot. She's working off a laptop and taking advantage of an external monitor. That's always a good thing. It's always a very, very necessary thing when we're working 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week. 2,000 hours a year. It's critical in my opinion if this is our home setup or our full-time setup. So I dropped this table down just a little bit. That will allow her to relax her arms, and then that will also drop that monitor. The top of the monitor will be eye level, just a couple inches on that one. So let's look at one more picture here. This is a good example that I like to use. Top of the monitor is at eye level. You'll notice, you can't really see her elbows, but you'll notice that they are, with her forearms parallel to the floor like that, you'll notice that they're at her elbows are at a 90-degree angle. It says 90 to 100 degrees here. I'm a little bit bigger fan of more of 100 degrees angle. That way, this desk would be a little bit lower and those forearms would be slightly at a downward angle. That's just personal preference for me. As long as we make sure that elbow is not below the desk level. That's where we get into trouble. That's something I definitely don't recommend for anyone. But personal preference as far as the elbow being slightly above the desk or a couple inches higher than desk level. You'll notice her feet are pretty even. Feet are flat on the floor. That hadn't been an issue with any of the pictures in today's video. So that's it for today's video. Computer posture mistakes and fixes. I want to thank you guys for watching. If you made it this far, congratulations. You're taking a big step forward in improving the quality of your life, and that's definitely something to be proud of. If you want to keep up with my content, the best way to do that is sign up for free email updates. I have a email newsletter called Computer Posture Weekly. You can sign up for that at sittingposture.com/newsletter, and I'll also put this link down in the description of this video. I send out one email a week on Fridays. What I include in that email is one link to the article that I wrote for my website that week, as well as 2 links to the YouTube videos that I posted to my YouTube channel that week. I don't spam, I don't sell email addresses, nothing like that. I just send one email a week on Fridays. You can unsubscribe anytime that you like just by clicking a button or 2 at the bottom of any of the emails. And that's it. If you like this video, do me a favor, like it. If it helps you out, like the video, subscribe to my channel if you want to see my videos in your feed more often. And that's it. I appreciate you guys. This is Todd from sittingposture.com. We'll see you next time. Take care.